Welcome to a short instructional video on Modbus RTU master byte swapping features. For the purpose of this demonstration, we are using the Modbus RTU, the Modbus Server Pro, to simulate our slave. So Modbus Server Pro is connected via external interfaces to Modbus RTU master, running through an RS485 port. Now, the reason why we're doing this is so we can see what's our slave, so Modbus. This window here is simulating our slave, and we can see in the slave we've got 4 addresses configured, and currently we're looking at those values in hexadecimal format, and we've got 4 registers here. Now, just for a bit of information, registers are 16 bits in Modbus, so each of those registers is 16 bits. So there's a total of 64 bits in here. And at the moment, we can go and request the data from the slave, and you can see here the slave is getting accessed and the data is coming back to our master. There we go. So that's the value that is coming through, just for a little bit of a demonstration on that actually does work. If I change my value in there and I request that, we can see that changing in here. Anyway, for our purposes here, what we need is we need these values so we can clearly determine what's going on. So that is how the values are represented in the slave. What we have now got the ability to do here is to do some byte swapping. Now, the byte swapping options are contained in the read-write definition. So when we double click on here, we can see that we have got the ability to swap bytes, swap words, and swap double words. So let's just click the swap words tick box here and hit OK. And you can see, so the swap bytes, and you can see those bytes, the byte order has now changed. This is 1122, and we're now seeing 2211. And the same applies for all the other registers. So that's what happens when we do a byte swap. And if we just keep retrieving new data here, or we can keep requesting the data, it'll do the byte swap. If we change some of this around here, we can see how the new values here are byte swapped. Okay, right, to make that easy to understand, we now have a look. We've got the ability to swap words. So a word is a 16-bit unit, or a register in this case. So we could swap the contents of this register with the contents of that register, but that only makes sense if both of those are represented as a single value. So we can go onto this register here and say, well, make it represent 32 bits. So now we have got a 32-bit representation, and just to click that off again, we can now see what's happening here. Those 2 registers are now combined and displayed as one. So I've got 1122, 3344, just like those 2 registers here in sequence. Now let's do a word swap, and if we do a word swap here, then that register is now, these are now swapped. So you can see the first register appears in this location and the second register appears in this location. So that's what we call word swapping, when within a display value, we are swapping the 2 16-bit values. Of course, you can combine all of that, and you can also swap bytes and words, which is going to look like that. So now you can see that we've swapped the bytes, 3344 instead of 3344, and then the words have been swapped as well. We can take this another step further, and let's just turn the byte swapping off again. We can take this another step further, and we don't want to change it. We want to look at it as a combined 64-bit. So here we go, 64 bits, starting with 1 1 on one end and going all the way through to 8 8. So we can see that sequence is exactly as it appears in the slave. So now we can go and we can swap the double words to clearly indicate what the double words, and now we're talking about a 32-bit swap. So you can see those registers here are now on the right hand end, and the registers further down are now appearing on the left hand end. So that's the double word swapping. So we've basically swapped these two registers with these two registers, or should really point over here. All of this can be combined. We can swap words and we can swap bytes. And when you have a look at that, the result of that is we get a complete reversal of the sequence. This goes from 1 through to 8, but here now goes from 8 through to 1. So whatever combination it is that you need, you can select that in your definition here, and you can enable the swapping that occurs. Now, bear in mind, the byte swapping and word swapping and double word swapping only occurs for the value as it is being displayed. It doesn't change anything in your slave. Your slave is remains as it is, and if you do change a value here and you write it back to the slave, it will appear in the correct location. We can just do a little demonstration of that and have a quick look here. And let's say we are going to change, even though everything is swapped around, let's say we change the 8 here to a 9, and we send that across. We can now tell in our slave the positions haven't changed. Everything remains exactly where it was before, and Modbus RTU master converts all of that inside. So there we go. That's our demonstration of byte swapping. Thank you for watching.